Hey friends, Jewel back with more super cool astrology videos. I want to talk about the inconjunction between Mars and Neptune in a birth chart. What happens when we have this going on? So Mars is our action, it's our drive, it's our forward motion and our energy. It's how we go after what we want, the style of what that is, what we do to get the stuff, to bring it back to the cave. And Mars is very much about our aggression and our assertiveness as well. And Neptune is our dreams, our spirituality, our wishes, a lot of boundary issues, and where things are the collective, and forgiveness and beauty and romance and all things unrealistic. And so when we have these meeting at an inconjunction, meaning they're about 150 degrees away from each other, it presents somebody with some real problems when it comes to balancing their passive and their aggressive tendencies. Because we have passiveness, Neptune, and aggressiveness, Mars, meeting in the most nefariously imbalanced connection possible in astrology. So people that have this are extremely afraid of criticism and failure. They defend themselves very well in their imaginations and have an imagination where they tend to paint themselves in the role of very successful, strong, capable. But there's a lot of talk and not so much action with this aspect, because when we take action, there is always the risk of failure. And we are extremely, extremely afraid of that with this particular inconjunction. So there's a lot of daydreams and fantasies and plans. It's a kind of a Walter Mitty type of way of looking at the world. Not a lot of concrete action tends to come out of this particular inconjunction. Now, it doesn't mean that we're sentenced to be like that forever, because every hard aspect presents us with a lesson. And we always have the opportunity to learn that lesson, to get the benefits from that lesson. So this is one where a lot of times they get over their fear of taking action, or their fear of being assertive, like taking the first step, taking a risk. They get over that when they find something they're so passionate about that it commands their attention so completely that they decide to go for it despite the risks. And then we see the self-respect that follows when we take action and we see that it worked, that we got what we were after. So a lot of times, because the imagination is where they're taking action, they can be sure that they have come to a conclusion or solved something, but haven't actually talked it out or done anything in the three-dimensional world to remedy the problem. So there's a lot of imagining that action that they take in their fantasies or in their minds has some kind of validity in the three-dimensional world. So these people, because their imaginations are so active, and because of the way that the unconscious and the conscious are blending here, they can find themselves chronically tired. And the reason for this is because they take their actions in their dreams and strategize in their dreams and solve and really, go after things in their dreams. And so this is where they work a lot of things out, is in sleep. So they, are dreaming in their waking life and awake in their dreaming life. So it's a very interesting aspect to have, because it really does cause somebody to get into a loop of, imagining something or thinking something through and then assuming that this is the way that it's going to be, or this is the way it is in the actual three-dimensional world. So plans that are not well constructed or hasty or rushed almost always end in disaster when we have this particular inconjunction. And they like to try to rush things, to say, no, this is what I need, or this is what I want, and there's, it has to happen in this amount of time, or else this is going to happen. And what this is the rushing of Mars. Mars wants, it's a knee-jerk thing. It wants it now. It's a very impatient planet. And so when we have that mixing with Neptune, which is about fantasies, we want our fantasies now. And failing to plan because we dream the plans rather than actually make them, or fail to come up with really concrete strategies to make sure that our plans have a good basis of being able to happen, can be a real problem with this particular aspect. So they are not good at scheduling. They are not good at routines, and tend to be very not realistic about what it is they're capable of either. They're not realistic in regards to understanding what it is that they are really capable of, truly capable of, and not good or realistic at understanding what it is they think they're capable of, but they're really not capable of. So they don't truly own their true capabilities, and they don't truly own their imagined capabilities either. There tends to be a large guilt with this in conjunction. A lot of times we had a father that was very Neptunian, either weak in some way, timid, absent, escapist, addicted. Sometimes it was a very early death of the father. Usually the father was around, but sometimes it was a missing situation, absentee situation, or an intermittently absentee situation. But very, very often this aspect is there in the natal chart because the example of the masculine figure in the early life was not strong, was not terribly realistic or reliable. There's something Neptunian going on there. So another side effect of having this particular inconjunction is that they tend to put themselves into situations where they can be sexually taken advantage of, or there's a risk involved with their choices of sexual partners. They are much, much more susceptible to sexual and social diseases than other people because of their lack of discrimination and their lack of insistence on boundaries, protection. They don't protect themselves the way that they should because there's a lot of assuming that the other person means well, or the other person is, going to do well by them. They can be tremendously taken advantage of in relationships, and they set themselves up for it, typically. So they are much, much more susceptible to all kinds of physical weaknesses, poisons of all kinds. Again, diseases, accidents, inflammation is a big one. Accidents related to machinery is also a big one. Because, again, it's like Walter Mitty running a piece of dangerous machinery. You know, they're running it, but then they're off, you know, in their head and daydreaming about rescuing a princess or being the princess or winning the election or whatever it may be. And meanwhile, the machine is, you know, boiling out of control. So it is associated with having issues with accidents, with machinery, sharp objects, things that require a pointed way of physically handling them. So this is a aspect where they really, really must not put themselves into positions where they can be taken advantage of, because almost 100% of the time it's going to happen. There's not a good sense of how to stand up for themselves or when to appropriately assert themselves. It's a lot like, you know, those instances where someone, you know, trespasses with you somehow, and you, after the fact, are like, I don't know why I didn't say something. Why didn't I say something? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? It's that, but all the time with these people. So it's a process of understanding when to take action, when to have a boundary, when to use your assertiveness, and when is that appropriate. So it's really about learning self-respect through taking physical action, learning self-respect through creating a physical boundary, and learning self-respect through taking risks and through doing things that may present us with the possibility of failure, but they also present us with the possibility of great success. And we really can measure the payoff when it comes to the success factor that we can have in our lives when we look at that in accordance with what was the risk. You know, the bigger the risk, a lot of times the bigger the payoff. And so with this particular inconjunction, that's what we're doing. We're learning to avoid risky behavior so that we can become somebody who will indulge in legitimately risky behavior. So do you see how that works with this one? They are indulging in risky behavior, but it's risky behavior related to their lack of self-respect and their lack of being able to go out of that fear to do constructive risky behavior. So inconjunctions are very funny in that they seed us for understanding the incongruencies of life and creation and how things are really a paradox, and to understand how to live with and really experientially understand paradox. So that's why inconjunctions exist. And if you can get this one down, you have really, really evolved a great deal in this lifetime, because this is an inconjunction that will present you with some great problems in the first half of your life a lot of times. But when we learn it, when we see what's going on, and we get a sense of what that stone is in our shoe that we've been living with so long, and we finally realize it's there and reach down and pull it out, oh, it feels so good. Hope this was helpful. If it was, please subscribe to my channel. You can find me on the internet at truthandaspectastrology.com, Facebook, Instagram, other social media at Truth and Aspect Astrology. Yes, I am a professional astrologer. I offer private consultation, and you can find my services and fees at my website, Facebook, and I will be back super soon with more super cool videos.